My fellow countrymen of Southern Cameroons, welcome to another exclusive edition. This video is going to be an eye-opener for you, so grab a cup of coffee, buckle your seatbelt, and let's enjoy this wonderful ride. You've heard about a recent explosive that was planted around mile 6 Nkwen in Bamenda, which has led to 6 or 10 La Republique soldiers being victims of that explosive. One lost his life on the spot. We are also going to talk about the recent fire that has consumed buildings in Buea and how we, the people of Southern Cameroons, should perceive these recent happenings. I would like us to watch a little bit of that video and then we will proceed with our analysis. As we wrap up this year, it is very important that we have a plan moving into 2026, and we are going to talk a little bit about that. Let's watch the video and then we'll take it from there.
And the people of Sosoliso in Muliko, Buea, are still in shock. They're in bewilderment as to how all of this played out. It all started with a truck transporting locally fabricated baskets for tomatoes, which cut a cable that crossed the road because it was loaded up to capacity, and some of the baskets got hooked on a cable that crossed the road, and that is how it cut the cable and ignited the flame. And from there, this vehicle that is completely burned down to ashes is said to have been loaded with illicit fuel, because someone who deals in illicit fuel passes fuel around here, and that is how the spark from the cable caught fire on the vehicle loaded with illicit fuel, and the fire quickly went out of control. And that is...
I would like to start by saying this is an unfortunate situation our people find themselves in. As a Southern Cameroonian, through this video, you are going to understand yourself a little bit better what the British people left in Southern Cameroons that most Southern Cameroonians do not understand, especially Ambazonians. This is a situation where we are hoping that the government helps us fix in the Southern Cameroons. Whereas in a decentralized structure that we inherited from the British, our local community should be able to handle issues like this. Again, this is the effect of incomplete decolonization, incomplete independence. There was no framework on how we will properly merge with La République du Cameroun while maintaining the systems we understand better in the Southern Cameroons. So we have to hope that La République du Cameroun sends a firefighter from a distance to come rescue us in Buea. Now, you should pay attention to how I analyze things on this platform. Pay attention to that. Every event that I cover, you see me funneling everything to incomplete decolonization, incomplete independence, unauthorized administration in Southern Cameroons. This is the effect. And this is the language we ought to have in the entire Southern Cameroons, especially those who are activists online. Now, this is what I want you to pay attention to. I want to make this so simple that even those who left class 5 will follow this conversation. Okay. Communication only works when people share basic meaning. That means if I say boy, B-O-Y, if you've studied English or you studied in English, regardless of where you come from around the world, you know what B-O-Y, boy, means. That means we can have basic conversation and understanding based on this foundation. So in English, words like bread, water, boy, girl, come, go. This basic vocabulary makes communication possible across the world. Pay attention, stay with me. We are going somewhere. They are basic vocabulary in English. Are you tracking? Now, without them, conversation collapses. Our struggle in the Southern Cameroons has the same problem. So we have lost our basic vocabulary. We have lost our political vocabulary. We, the people of the Southern Cameroons, ought to be speaking in one language as to what is going on with us, just like that foundation, boy. If I ask you the question, who was the prime minister in the Southern Cameroons when the UN organized the plebiscite in 1961? We should have no debate about that. Everyone knows John Fonja was the prime minister. If I tell you that someone else was the prime minister when the UN organized the plebiscite in 1961, we should look at you as someone that has an issue. Are you following? This is the problem Southern Cameroons have today, even after 65 years. I put out the plebiscite question, just the name Southern Cameroons and the story. You heard some of your activists struggle just to interpret the plebiscite question, which said, do you choose to gain independence by joining Nigeria or the Republic of Cameroon? And they said, when you gain your independence. I mean, these are people who have studied and understand basic vocabulary, but can't explain the plebiscite question after 65 years. Those who are in a rush to tell, oh, just go to the UN, just go to the UN. Chill. Chill. We are going to follow that process gradually. I said 70% of the problem is with us. 20% is with La République du Cameroun. And 10% is with the international community and the UN. Write that down and never forget that. You should be asking me the question, what do you mean by 70% of the problem is with us? That is a good question to ask. If the UN shows up today and say, we want to declare independence for Southern Cameroons, I will tell them, hold on. I will tell them to wait. Even if you take out La République from Southern Cameroons, supervise us for at least 2 years before you leave us alone. Don't be in a rush to say, oh, just come and declare independence. No, chill. The UN left Rwanda in 100 days. The Hutus murdered close to 1 million Tutsis. The UN was there and they left the people alone. And that is what a fellow black man did to another black man in 100 days. 800,000 to 1 million people died. If you don't understand the history of the African people, black people, I factor all of this into consideration. That is why I know that we won't fail if we lay the right foundation. Most Southern Cameroonians don't understand themselves, don't understand their history, don't understand what is going on with them, and they want to run a country. We have to cover this foundation. The problem is more with us than with La République du Cameroon or the international community. In Nigeria, during the Biafra War, more than 3 million people lost their lives. This was within black people. In Nigeria, your neighbor, since 2009, another black man has been infiltrating other black people's community in the north, Boko Haram, and taking the lives of their own people. Why? Because one person hits their head on the ground and pray. Another person lifts their head to the sky and pray. And they label them enemies and take their lives. And this has been going on since 2009 till date. It's called Boko Haram. This is black people doing this to other black people. The people that labeled others black leg and took their lives was fellow Southern Cameroonians. If this message doesn't circulate in the community, and we have one basic vocabulary, political vocabulary about our problem, those who call themselves Ambazonia will take your life away, will destroy whatever you're trying to build. So let this message reach them. Make sure that the young men on the ground understands this message, and they should be fighting under Southern Cameroons, and everything should be tied to the incomplete independence, incomplete decolonization, unauthorized administration of La République into Southern Cameroons. If we don't have this foundation covered, please be careful of what you ask for. And I've said we need to raise funds. We are putting a team together, but these people will be paid. It will not be free. Atangan Jipo wakes up every day and clocks in to serve the government of La République du Cameroon. That is the only job he does. Some people have their jobs abroad. When they have free time, they become activists. We want to defeat a 65-year-old regime, a regime that has existed for 43 years with WhatsApp groups and WhatsApp admins. I want you to understand the gravity of what we have on our hands. Are you ready? How many people do you speak to on a daily basis about what I share on this platform? How many people do you share this video with on regular? And have conversations to make sure they even understand what they watched. Start by summarizing in the comment section. What do you understand by what I have explained about the authentic story of Southern Cameroons? That is a good place to start. When the UN comes and goes, I will have to live with you. You will have to live with fellow Southern Cameroonians, not with the UN. So lay that groundwork. If you've studied the history of black people in Africa, you will not be in a rush to just say, UN, come and give us independence. Go on their platforms and see how zealous some still are with the idea of Ambazonia. It will just take one call from them, and you have a young man on the ground that you are fighting for. Destroy you before even thinking. Do you understand? So this is what is happening in Buea. We shouldn't be saying Paul Biya should do something for us. If you really understand the Southern Cameroon story, this is our responsibility. And we should be thinking of how we will build systems to address this problem. Because some still speak as though they expect La République, they want independence from, they want to not be part of La République du Cameroon, as though they want Paul Biya to do something for us that we ought to do for ourselves. I hear their language. This is 9 to 10 years, but they still speak that way. People who wake up every day and they are talking about the internal politics in La République du Cameroon, they don't understand the Southern Cameroon's crisis. The UN can't help that human being. People who wake up every day and they are focused on who Buea appoints in La République du Cameroon don't understand the Southern Cameroon's crisis. Those who think the people of La République du Cameroon have failed Issa Chirima Bakari don't understand themselves as Southern Cameroonians. And so I'll cover briefly what Britain left in Southern Cameroons that is still active in us today, but we don't understand what is going on with us. Do you know why the teachers and the lawyers are the ones who started this revolution and not Gojin Dinka, the founder of Ambazonia? In spite of his effort traveling around the world talking about Ambazonia, yet nothing happened. You will know why the teachers and the lawyers are the ones who started this revolution today. Let's watch this video some more. Are you learning something? Okay, let's listen.
Now it has caused all the damage we've seen here, and this is a shop that deals in what is commonly referred to as broken, and which was just recently loaded, and everything in it has been burned down to ashes, and the nearby buildings have also been affected. Then the firefighting brigade, which is now stationed in Mutengene, were alerted and they got to the scene early enough, and they did all they could and started putting out the fire, but unfortunately they ran out of water. And they only had to make use of a water source that is a distance away before they could replenish their water supply.
You see? So the firefighters had to leave Mutengene to Buea. Let me say this as we continue this conversation. Some say they are looking for leaders that are humble. When people say they want humble leaders, we've heard that in our community, many don't actually mean humility. What they really want are people who pose no threat. People who won't challenge them at all. People who won't force them to raise their standards. By the time we are done solving this crisis, anyone who think age is what matters will be forced to pick up books and read. And not just pick up headlines, create a propaganda narrative, and water down that down the throat of our people that only produces mediocre Southern Cameroonians that cannot walk into international circles and have a constructive conversation and be heard. What I'm doing here is upgrading the quality of our people, because that's number one. So that is what they mean when they talk about, oh, you are humble. It's not really humble. You want people that are timid, fearful, and can't even help you. Won't be able to stand before the international community and defend you. You want harmless people. We've had that in our community for a very long time, and we are still here. So true humility is discipline, competent, and accountable. It makes others uncomfortable. People that have been used to mediocrity are very uncomfortable when they are challenged. Why? Because it exposes laziness and excuses. That is why you see for 9 to 10 years, even the average Southern Cameroonian abroad cannot explain to you what the real Southern Cameroon's story is. We have the Ambazonia history right now, not the Southern Cameroon's history. And leaders on the ground and abroad are reaching out to me now every day, saying what you are saying at least helps us to understand the history that we know better. This is raising the standards. But there are many young people that have been misguided by the Ambazonian history. That is not the authentic history of Southern Cameroons. But if we will make progress, again, the BOY Foundation, never forget that. Communication is possible across the world among those who speak English, because this basic vocabulary is covered from class 1 to class 7 and from Form 1 to up 6. And then you go to a university for 3 years and 4 years in other countries before you leave and are qualified to have a job in someone's company. You study for at least 16 to 17 years to be qualified. For 10 years, you've been receiving the wrong history, wrong programming. And it's just been 3 months that I've touched on our authentic history. And you're in a rush to say, oh, UN should come right now. Chill. UN will come. Educate yourself first. I say for almost 17 years, you go study in school to go serve in a department in someone's company. Now we want to build a country, and we have people that don't have the same basic political vocabulary as you. And you want to build a country with those people in that country. Education is number one. Quality education, not just talk. Quality talk. We need this on a regular. Some of you create TikTok or Facebook pages. Cut important sections of this video and share with the people. Mobilize your groups and start putting funds together. We will need to have a team to help us push through to the end. Professionals, not amateurs. We need to secure at least $700,000 before this team jump on this case. So that people don't start walking and then you say, oh, we don't have money to pay them. I said, Atanganji Paul, that Pobia's team, they wake up every morning and they clock in to make sure that they maintain control in this territory. And you want to go have your job part-time, you come here and then you defeat him. You think so? All this trivial part-time activist, you want to go defeat Buea. No, I want to show you the gravity of the work we have, so that you understand what we ought to be doing. So we've lost our basic political vocabulary. So my first job is to install that first. These are the people that can build a first world country when they have this new information running in their brain. Understand who they are, what Britain left, what makes us different from citizens of La République du Cameroon. Most of our people don't understand themselves, don't understand citizens of La République du Cameroon. That is why on a regular, they say, go on the streets and fight. La République citizens don't want change. No. A civil law system was designed to function that way. Around one man, if a new leader emerges, that leader should be able to lead. Without leadership, nothing happens. Timing as well is everything. The common law system runs on institutions. That is why the teachers and the lawyers were the ones that went on the street to march that stirred up everything in the Southern Cameroons. Not an individual. Because the common law system, it runs on institutions. The taxi driver union could do the same thing the teachers and the lawyers did. Did you know that? No. The villagers in Wone could do the same thing the teachers and the lawyers did. Those are institutions, customary institutions. So most of our people don't even know why they act the way they act. And this is across Africa. Most Africans don't understand the colonial systems that were left behind. And that is why they've struggled to make progress. Americans took the British system and upgraded it and added personal freedom, individual freedom in institutions. That is what makes the American system. Many don't know this. Some Americans have lived within these systems, died and left without even understanding it. So I don't blame you. That is why you see most Amazonian leaders thought maybe they could be the next hero and cut it. No. Without you, what happened in the Southern Cameroons will continue if the people understand who they are and understand what is happening with them. That is how an institution-based system functions. It's not centered around a single leader. That is why you struggle abroad trying to become president. You don't understand the common law system. You don't understand. It was not Goji Dinka who said, oh, let's go on the street and march. No, it was an institution. Teachers and the lawyers. Never ever forget that. And that is how this history will be written. So, without shared meaning, we speak loudly but say nothing. We argue endlessly, but the world hears confusion. A credible struggle must be congruent. Write that word down. Congruent. One cause, one language, one explanation. Everything going on in Southern Cameroons would have been centered around this one cause. Incomplete decolonization, incomplete independence, unauthorized administration. La Republique's administration in Southern Cameroons is unauthorized without documentation. That is why we are having challenges, even when the DO is trying to impose a chief on the people. And 90% of them are saying no. You see, go around your community and listen. If any Amazonian leader picked up on what happened in Wone village as something similar to what happened in 2016, most did not pick it up. Why? Because they don't understand the Southern Cameroons history and the Southern Cameroon story. And why Southern Cameroons runs the way it does. When we strengthen these institutions, we don't need to be here. The people will be fine. Paul Buea doesn't understand what I'm sharing with you. And you are begging him to come help you because you don't even understand the Southern Cameroon story. If you understood the Southern Cameroon story, you will never ask Yaoundé to come help you. Because we in the common law system can understand a civil law system easily, but they can't. Because theirs run on one man. Ours run on institution. That's why Paul Buea is trying to bribe the chiefs or the funds, not understanding that the teachers and the lawyers, they operate under an institution. So you have to bribe every institution in the Southern Cameroons if you want the people to close their mouth. And it's impossible. That is how Britain works. That is what Britain left in Southern Cameroons. And it's working in your people and they don't even know why they act the way they act. This is what a system is. So for Southern Cameroons, the cause is simple. Unauthorized administration caused by a missing union treaty. Do you understand that? Unauthorized administration caused by a missing union treaty. Full stop. So we don't have a marriage certificate. We don't have rules of engagement. We say we are playing soccer, but some people decide to pick the ball with their hands, and we are like, no, we are supposed to be kicking this ball, not holding it with your hands. That is why the DO is coming in and trying to install a chief. That is why the teachers and the lawyers went on the street. Do you understand? Missing union treaty. Everything else you see in Southern Cameroons, it could be fire, whatever, the gas plant, everything else is a symptom, not a cause. The cause is the unfinished business of Britain and the UN. Anyone that is mentioning France don't understand the Southern Cameroon story. They wake up every day, talk about France, talk about the internal politics of La Republique du Cameroon, don't understand the Southern Cameroon's history and can't help you, can't negotiate for you. You put that kind of a person in the room, they don't have anything to say. So if every incident is explained differently, the struggle dies. Every incident in Southern Cameroons has to have one focal point. That is what makes Southern Cameroons Southern Cameroons. You heard the teachers complaining about the same thing. The lawyers complain about the same thing. If you tie it together, it's one underlying problem. And that makes sense. But you see, Ambazonia is confusing. Look at our people. Ambazonia is saying that there was a union and they can't provide for us a union treaty. So Ambazonia is binding us to La Republique du Cameroon, has delayed the UN hearing us correctly. So if today it is appointments in La Republique du Cameroon, appointing new minister, coming up with a new political system, tomorrow it is personalities who is the next leader of Ambazonia. Next week it is elections. Oh, Isa Churuma Bakari will come save us. Because the person doesn't understand the Southern Cameroon story. They don't understand it is illegal for the person that you're trying to find freedom from to be the one that gets to save you. And they don't have jurisdiction over a UN trust territory, Southern Cameroons. You will come here to say, let's rush to the UN. We have over 8 million Southern Cameroonians. How many views do you see on this video? How many Southern Cameroonians do you think understand this message? And do you know you can be destroyed by the people who haven't heard this message? Do you know so? We have work to do. Every day of your life, you should have a schedule on what you do to help spread this message around, engage with more people, so that we can all think, act, and understand this history. If not, forget about it. Next week, we are talking about election. The world disengages when we are acting this way. Let them tell you they will build the strongest military, take out every La Republique citizen. I'm telling you, you have the next dictator come from these groups. The treatment they will give you will be worse because they don't understand what they are dealing with. They don't understand the history of Southern Cameroons. They don't understand what they will even inherit. They will have problems with every institution in Southern Cameroons. Because I'm standing on these institutions. My job is to strengthen all these institutions. Teachers, lawyers, customary institutions. When you strengthen these institutions, then you have strengthened the Southern Cameroons. And a leader should only serve in the capacity of respecting these institutions. Without that, forget about it. They are trying to be the next Paul Buea. And all of a sudden, you become the next dictator. And your challenges will be worse than what Buea is experiencing with his people in a common law system. They don't have a clue about this. That's why some of them take credit even for what the young men on the ground are doing. They don't understand how this system was built. But when every event returns to the same cause, clarity builds power. Clarity builds power. Even the computer algorithm picks up what Southern Cameroons is all about. The world engages with us differently. All the countries that recognize Southern Cameroons begin to wake up. This is the groundwork that we have to do. It's not just rushing and say, you and come here and send La Republique. No. Look at the havoc that has been done to our people. Most of it has been done to our people by our people, not La Republique du Cameroon. So just like basic vocabulary makes language possible, basic legal clarity makes freedom possible. That means you'll be able to communicate, engage with one another, understanding that what that man you see on the other side has in their head about the Southern Cameroon story is the same thing I have in my head. So with that, there is little fight. If not, the next battle will be among your own people, and that will be worse than the battle we have with La Republique du Cameroon. So the fire in Buea is a classic example. An entire building destroyed. You see that? Goods worth millions lost. Why? Because the fire services were not locally controlled. Firefighters came from afar. They ran out of water. And this was not bad luck, because some of you think that is bad luck. Everything we spiritualize it. No, this was not incompetence. This is what happens when local institutions are stripped of authority. A decentralized system operates better when the local inhabitants have control over facilities or over institutions like this. So, in a lawful system, cities control their emergency services. In an unauthorized system, unauthorized administration like La Republique into Southern Cameroons, help arrives late. And what is the cause? Unauthorized administration. And what is the effect? Preventable disaster. This is preventable. The explosive you see happened in Bamenda. Lives were lost. Fear spread. We heard that the military went into the community and they were whooping our people. Doesn't make sense. You get it? But you know why this is happening? Again, unauthorized administration. So let us be clear about that. We reject violence against civilians and soldiers alike. We condemn violence. Death is not victory for anyone. But condemning violence, pay attention to this now, does not mean accepting undocumented military presence. Let La Republique du Cameroon understand what Southern Cameroons stand for. Not Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons. Not Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Southern Cameroonians. Let it be clear. We condemn violence, but condemning violence does not mean accepting undocumented military presence in Southern Cameroons. There is a jurisdictional question on Southern Cameroons, and we have to sort that out. And we know you in Yaoundé is not the proper jurisdiction. So the real question is simple. Under what legal authority is this military unit operating in Southern Cameroons? That is what I'm asking. That is what the people of Southern Cameroons should collectively be asking. Under what legal authority is this military unit operating in Southern Cameroons? Who gave you power to run a military unit in Southern Cameroons? And we heard that they are building more barracks. The lives of your people are at risk because you extended your administration into Southern Cameroons without documentation. So this is not a battlefield question. This is a jurisdictional question. Where law is unclear, insecurity becomes permanent. Where law is unclear, insecurity becomes permanent. So Southern Cameroons inherited a common law system. Common law is institution-driven, not personality-driven. That is why the teachers and the lawyers are the ones who started everything. That is why the Wane villagers could rise up and stir up a revolution across Southern Cameroons. It means courts interpret laws through precedent in the Southern Cameroons. Authority is constrained under a common law system in Southern Cameroons. Power is distributed. People all know this. Legitimacy flows from procedure and consent. That is why we had common law courts in the Southern Cameroons. We had the House of Chiefs. So you're trying to get Paul Buea to understand and solve a problem within this complex system. He was not nurtured in that kind of system. English has run the world for 300 years. That is why America runs the world. That is why Britain is one of the greatest superpowers. Because you don't know yourself, that is why you hope that a Yaoundé man, you believe that a man under a civil law system should come help you because you don't understand yourself, you don't understand your history, you don't understand the institutions that you inherited and how it functions. You should be teaching them, explaining to them what they are doing, what they don't understand, because they will never understand. One central authority controls everything in La République du Cameroun. So you trying to impose from one institution in the Southern Cameroons is a threat to the entire system in La République du Cameroun. Did you know that? You didn't, right? That is how it feels. And you are insisting that La République citizens should go on the street. Let me explain something to you, Southern Cameroonians. It's like, so this is what you're trying to do. It's like someone that has played basketball their entire life. That is what they know. And you're trying to force them to play football. And you are angry because they are not doing a good job. That is how it feels like when someone from the Southern Cameroons is trying to instigate someone from La République du Cameroun to go out on the street. It's like meeting someone from Senegal and you're from the Southern Cameroons or from the Northwest and you're telling them, this is actual, eat it. It is good. Make it your traditional meal. It's confusing. They don't have the same operating software like what you have inside of your head because you don't understand what you inherited from Britain. This has been in you, and so it's normal for you. No, but this is what it means. This is what the colonial masters left in there that is still running your life still today, and you can't even explain it. Because if you understood what was going on with you, you will not force citizens of La République du Cameroun to go on the street the way you do. So common law courts, the House of Chiefs, kingmakers, customary courts existed in the Southern Cameroons. And we still have that today. Professional bodies that could push back on the government in the Southern Cameroons. La République du Cameroon is a civil law state. Civil law is centralized. Authority flows downward. Some people can speak like this, cough, perish, trying to turn a tortoise to an elephant. So law is issued, not argued. They don't argue law. So that is how it feels when you're debating the legal system within La République du Cameroon. You are really seen as a demon. And then in our system, that is how we really see them, as a demon. That is the confusion that we have going on in this territory. It is okay for you to challenge authority. It is not okay to do that in La République du Cameroon. Common law, civil law. These two systems cannot merge by assumptions. They require a documented legal breach. That you know that you don't cross my line, you don't cross into my territory, you don't do this in my territory. We know this even with our villages. You know this even with your traditional meals, your customs and traditions. Someone even from another village cannot just come into your village and impose. So that bridge was never built. And that is the missing union treaty, the incomplete decolonization, incomplete independence. Do you see how deep this study is? Do you see the work that I put in on every video that I produce to take out ignorance? Those who only assume that this is talk, brother, I know that your job is just to carry things. But thinking, speaking is what runs this world. Quality communication. That's why you see a manager is paid a good salary and all they come in and do is manage people. And those who carry everything around that company are paid less. Do you know why? Because this is hard. But when this message is in the minds of everyone, people will be able to carry things easily. That is why they pay people to come in and their managers, not to manage people, just to manage people within a company. But you don't understand this. This is nation building. This is no joke. This is not Ambazonia. I told you, Ambazonia, you don't need skill. If you can shout, talk about the internal politics of La République du Cameroon, try to dialogue with Buea, you are a leader in Ambazonia. This takes skill. Some dabble around this, they will make a fool of themselves. This takes skill. So civil law administration was imposed on a common law society without a treaty. That is the problem we are dealing with in the Southern Cameroon. That clash is the root of everything that we experience today. This is why resistance never ends. Lawyers resisted in 2016. Teachers resisted in 2016. Warner Village resisted in 2025. Different actors, same cause, same problem. In common law society, resistance is institutional, not centralized. Gojin Dinka would have never had the people go on the streets in 2016. But it is possible, even for the taxi driver union in Southern Cameroons, to start this up. That is common law. You don't know it. It is possible for the student union in Southern Cameroons to start this up, but not Gojin Dinka. Because you came in and tried to create a government, and so you think, oh, it's because of the engagement of the Ambazonians that made it possible. No, the teachers and the lawyers started this. And when you understand how these institutions function, and if you engaged these institutions, you try to destroy even the chiefs. You try to destroy the chiefs. That is a very important institution. That is a very strong pillar in the common law system in Southern Cameroons. You don't know that. We guide, inspire each institution so they can speak the same language for us to all achieve our objectives and have Southern Cameroons be free. So it regenerates because it lives inside norms. It is not disorder. That is design. Was designed. Southern Cameroons was designed to function that way. What Britain left there was designed to function that way. What France left in La République du Cameroun, it was designed. That country was designed to function that way. So you cannot persuade one leader and change everything in Southern Cameroons. You persuade institutions to bring about change in Southern Cameroons. You cannot appoint legitimacy by decree in Southern Cameroons. It's impossible. That's why the villagers are on the street. Say, no, Dio, you can't do that. You alone, you can't do this. 90% of us say no. That is common law. That is Southern Cameroons. And then some go on to tell you about dialogue with La République du Cameroun, about Southern Cameroons. That is procedurally unlawful. Why? Because La République was never the administering authority of Southern Cameroons. Britain was. Britain was. They've talked about France and La République du Cameroun more than they have talked about Britain and the UN. What does that tell you? They don't know and they don't understand. Because La République du Cameroun was never the administering authority. La République du Cameroun was not the one who organized the plebiscite in 1961. It was not La République du Cameroun and the UN. It was not France, La République du Cameroun and the UN. It was the UN that organized a plebiscite. Britain was the administering authority, not the sovereign authority to sell us or transfer sovereignty. The UN supervised the trusteeship. You do not resolve a trusteeship failure by negotiating with the beneficiary of the failure. Discussing with La République du Cameroun, that is what it looks like. Buea should give you your independence. That is what it sounds. It's insane. What do you think the UN will upgrade in their records about the story of Southern Cameroons? This narrative doesn't make sense. Some say, oh, we gained our independence in 1961. You gain independence into what? Into a vacuum? Into a hole? If you gain your independence, the UN should know that. You gain independence into what? Into a vacuum? Did you read the plebiscite question? Do you choose to gain independence by joining? And then you voted to join La République du Cameroun. The process wasn't complete. And then you say you gain your independence in 1961 into a vacuum. Where did you gain your independence into? Confuse our people. Create low quality human beings with substandard ideas. Some say, oh, who told you that Ambazonia is a problem? Arrogance. Arrogance. I say we'll build this country with humility. Humility. That's what God is doing with us. Humble us. Black people. Learn to follow order. Read contracts. Understand what that means. Follow order. Dialogue that ignores the missing treaty only legitimizes illegality. Let me repeat that slowly for the zealous ones. The dialogue that ignores the missing treaty only legitimizes illegality. That is why every dialogue fails. The Grand National Dialogue failed. Canadian pre-talk failed. Oh, Buea can solve this problem. He can't. He doesn't even understand the problem. Even Ayijo, who created the problem, doesn't understand the problem. % of the problem is with us. We destroy our capable people, criticize them, push them down, set them on the side. We attack clarity. We reward noise in our community. Who is the loudest? Those are the people that we promote. We confuse weapons with readiness. No matter how sophisticated your weapons are you ready? That's a question I ask each and every one of you. In functioning societies, good people are preserved, protected, and prepared for leadership. In our case, good people are silenced, insulted, or destroyed. When you show up with something good, oh, protect him, protect him. Why? Because you will destroy every good person. That is why you feel that way instinctively. It's been a culture. So that is not politics. It is cultural and psychological across the continent of Africa. And we are reversing that thinking in this generation. Freedom requires understanding, discipline, institutions. Without preparation, freedom becomes self-destruction. Pay attention to that. If the UN said today, and I've repeated that and I'll say it again, you are free, the responsible answer would be, not yet, sir. You guys wait. We have work to do here. Because guns do not build nations. Knowledge does. Institutions do. Discipline does. That is what builds a nation. So this struggle cannot be won part-time. If we haven't got to the place where we have a team working on this case and they are paid, not only that, we get to the level where we have at least 100 people on staff that they wake up every day to focus on this issue. You are not ready yet. You go get your job when you are free. You come here to fight a regime that has existed for 43 years. My brother, think well. It's like an amateur boxer standing up against Francis Ngannou. Imagine what will happen to your face. So this struggle cannot be won part-time. I'm seeing what you guys are all doing. I listen to the weight of your conversation. I know if you're reading a book or you're just picking up headlines, and then you come here to persuade our people that you know what you're doing. I read all of you, online and offline. We are not building another version of La République du Cameroon here. We are going for a first world country. That means every year you'll be reading a minimum of 24 books if you will lead at the highest level of leadership in this country. 24 books every year. And we will see that through how you speak, through how you act, how you carry yourself. Not through noise. For 9 to 10 years, people don't understand Southern Cameroon story. Don't understand plebiscite question. Some of you, we are going to be asking questions and just basic questions about Southern Cameroons and just listen to what you say. And then we tell you, go and stand there, go and pick a book and read. And keep that noise on the side. So, the state has operated for 65 years as full-time occupation machine in Southern Cameroons. Buea's regime has spent 43 years doing nothing else. 9 to 5, they wake up every day and they maintain control here. Do you see the gravity of this work? And what I factor in? Activism after 9 to 5 is admirable. That's good. At least do something than do nothing. But you should know the level of work that you're putting in versus the people that you're standing up against. That is structurally insufficient. Every successful revolution was driven by a small, disciplined professional corps Not millions, not crowds, structure. This is consistent across every revolution I've studied, whether it's America, every revolution. They had full-time people on staff, full-time people on staff that they wake up every day and they are paid by the majority to handle that responsibility. So we'll get to the place where we need at least 100 to 150 people full-time on staff. Legal, strategy, diplomacy, research, education, finance, internal discipline. History is brutal on this point. America did not happen by chance. China did not happen by chance. So hobby movements, that's what we have. Hobby movements lose all the time. You take the liberation of Southern Cameroons as a hobby, you lose. Professional state, win. Professional states, win. Hobby movements, lose. We don't want to stay here forever. We want to be done away with this and go on to do amazing things with our lives. So we bring in expertise. We are serious. We carry ourselves as leaders, understand the history of Southern Cameroons, articulate it proficiently. So 70% is on us because ignorance is more dangerous than oppression. Ignorance is more dangerous than oppression. I have seen it. I have seen it. What it means to live among people that are ignorant. You probably heard that half book is a problem. They will explain wonders with a lot of volume and create chaos. 20% is on La République du Cameroun because it extended administration without producing a valid legal instrument. 10% is on the international community because it tolerated ambiguity instead of finishing the decolonization file. But the UN cannot act clearly if the people are confused. The UN cannot act clearly if the people are confused. Let me tell you something. It's like trying to give a car to your 5-year-old to drive. That is what it feels like giving independence to Southern Cameroons right now. Go on the street, stand around the road. Look at the people driving in those cars. Approximately how old do you think those people are? Most of them are adults. And they have received some training on how to drive a car. That's why you see them in that car. Just go stand around the road and look. And you have people who don't understand their history. And you want them to lead a country. Freedom without preparation collapses. Power without legitimacy turns to violence. Independence without institutions destroys itself. Preparation is not delay. Education is not surrender. Clarity is the shortest path to freedom. This clarity, the shortest path to freedom. If I meet 1 million Southern Cameroonians that understand this message, we are good to go. 1 million that understands the message. Issa Churuma Bakari wanted to become president. They ran into the voting booth to vote Issa Churuma Bakari. Do you think they know their history? They know where they are going? I was the one pushing back here. They went out there. Ambazonians encouraged them to go out there and vote so that they can have dialogue with Issa Churuma Bakari. Do you see the problem? Now, Cameroon is going out there to play soccer. They have, I think it's the African Nations Cup or whatever is going on. You have Southern Cameroonians begging getting frustrated with Ethiopians for not choosing them to be part of that team, that there is marginalization of Anglophones in this country because they don't understand their history. Try to persuade those people. They will fight you because they don't have what you know about this country in their own head. And you have to put that in through this message, sharing it around so that they get it. Now, we must decide, are we building a nation or just another armed group with flags? We have to decide, what are we doing here? You get it? Now I'm taking you from that level of just talk, hanging around WhatsApp groups and waiting for the next thing people share in there, to thinking as those who really want to build a nation, institutional thinkers. That is the level. This is not just cheap conversation. Very expensive conversation, but you're having it free on YouTube. Because nations are built with knowledge, discipline, institutions, and people who dedicate their lives to the work. All those nations that you go to, that is what they do to build those countries that you enjoy. They lay solid foundations across different departments that holds that nation strong, that you desire to travel to, get a job there, live in there, even become a citizen of that country. Without that, anything else is gambling with the lives of our own people. That is the honest reality. This is what someone did, and then I'll let you go. This individual said, are they working towards presenting a proper case to the UN based on all these revelations? Or are all these going to be talk and no do? What's the level now? Are there lawyers taking this to Britain and the UN currently? That is a great question or a great statement. Now you understand that 70% of the problem is with us. Share this video with as many friends as possible. Summarize what you understand by the revelations that I've shared with you on this platform in the comment section, so that I understand that you understand this message. Don't just share the message with friends. Make sure that you come together and ask questions among yourselves to make sure that you all understand. And then your friends go share with their friends. That is a good starting point. And then you mobilize yourselves and start raising money. My tech team is putting a website together where we are going to receive funds from the public that will be used to pay the people that will be working on this file, so that we have something solid before the UN. That is the work that needs to be done. And we are going to disclose that to the public before the end of January. You start understanding what the next steps look like. So we'll be saving your money. Some have called me to send money. I said, no, wait. This process has to go a certain way, and we are not in the rush. Do you understand? So that is the work that needs to be done. You need to live in the community with these people called Southern Cameroonians. If they don't have the right information in their heads, they will take your life away. The problem is more with us than with the UN. Having people among you that don't understand, they will mess up everything for you. If there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. There are still some zealous leaders with Ambazonia on their lips, and they have many people following them. One order from those people to the young men on the ground, you're finished. I factor all of this into consideration. We are not building some other state that you see that has failed in Africa. We set ourselves up for success by making sure we have quality people with quality information in their brain. That is how we rise above this noise in Africa. Another comment which I also love, I would love to share that with you as well. I really like this, and this is what some should be doing. This is Narokwe Paul, great individual, and this is what we are observing about his behavior on social media. He goes to the platform of some activists in our community that are sharing the wrong information or spending their time on La Republique's politics, internal politics, that has nothing to do with the liberation of Southern Cameroons. And he goes there and he corrects them in the comment section. He shares with them what needs to be done so they can focus on that and stop wasting time and confusing our people. And this is what Narokwe Paul says. There was no union treaty, so Southern Cameroons is still a trust territory with incomplete independence and incomplete decolonization. Hence, UN must complete the option they gave to Southern Cameroons. So you see, we have knowledgeable people on this platform and they take initiative. This is the kind of country that we will build, where people take initiative. I don't have to tell you everything, my brother. You should be using your brain. When I share messages like this, I shouldn't be the one to tell you what to do next. He goes on their platform and he writes comments like this to educate their viewers. This is powerful, Narokwe Paul. I commend this behavior. If we have 100,000 Southern Cameroonians active like this across social media platforms, we'll have one message. The world will hear us correctly. And even after the UN comes and leaves, we'll have quality human beings to build this nation with. Without that, my brother, forget it. I hope I answered your question well. Some of you on this platform know better than most Ambazonian leaders. You watching this video, what you know about the history of Southern Cameroons is better than what most Ambazonian leaders have in their head about the history of Southern Cameroons. So go ahead, share this video with a friend and a loved one. Make sure that our people collectively have this information in their head, because after the UN comes and goes, you have to live with these people. And what they have in their head will determine how long you live, or whether whatever you build will stand, or they will destroy it. And never forget the history of these African countries, Rwanda, Hutus, and Tutsi. Don't forget Biafra. Don't forget Boko Haram. This is what black people are doing to other black people around you. Don't forget the black leg syndrome in the Southern Cameroons. These were Southern Cameroonians doing this to other Southern Cameroonians. How do you plan to solve that problem? This is what education and information does. That is why they take you from class 1 right up to university, to make sure that you think a certain way before they allow you to serve in someone's company. You can't rush in this kind of class for 2 months or 1 month or watch one video, and all of a sudden you think that they should give you a position in a company or you've graduated already. You understand?
Southern Cameroons, crown of freedom, you have it. A first world nation in a third world continent, you have it. Put your mind to the process, cutting edge systems, you have it. With top tier strategy, I don't see us losing, you have it. With great institutions, one single vision, you have it. Make Africa stable for trade and worship, you have